Only he was left standing. He was the fastest. He was the luckiest. He was a gunslinger. Gunslinger is an out-of-print game released by Avalon Hill. It is a man-to-man game that recreates the gunfights, brawls, and other actions associated with the Old West. You may plan individual showdowns, including gunfights and fisticuffs, or create a campaign that links the separate showdowns together. Gunslinger also provides rules for special weapons and skills, terrain and sighting, hunting, role-playing, and optional rules that add more seasoning to the game. The game is played in turns. Each turn consists of 5 segments. Each segment represents 2 seconds of real time. Action cards are used by players to control their movement and combat. At the start of each turn, each player secretly plays their action cards and stacks them in the order they want the cards to resolve. The time numbers on the actions determine which players do their actions first. The time number shows how many segments it will take to perform the action. For example, a 2-point action is performed on segment 2. This applies to all players. Once a player performs an action, its time points will count against the actions taken later that turn. If a player plays 2 2-point action cards, they will be performed on segment 2 and segment 4 respectively. If a player garners delay points, that will delay their actions for the rest of the turn. If a player with 3 delay points plays a 2-point action card, it will resolve on segment 5. Shots are resolved before other actions on the same segment. For example, if a character moves and is shot at on the same segment, the range is calculated and the shot is resolved before he moves. However, the result of the shot does not take effect until after he moves. At the end of each segment, all penalties that are incurred go into effect. Then the first player will reveal their next action, followed by the player to his or her left, and so forth. The turn begins with a counter on the 0 space on the time track. Each player secretly selects the play action cards that will be used during the turn. For a player with serious wounds, endurance boxes are crossed off and fatigue cards are drawn. The first player reveals his or her first action and states how it will be executed. The action is not executed at this point. All players starting from the left of the first player will reveal and state their first action. The time marker is advanced forward 1 space. Each player will add points to his sheet to his or her next action time points. If the total equals the current segment, the next action will be performed in this segment. Players firing shots will have their actions resolved. However, the damage from the shot will not be applied immediately. Players performing non-firing actions may do so during this segment. Any penalties that are incurred will go into effect. Starting with the first player and going to the left, each player who did an action this segment puts it on the sheet and states how the next action will be performed. Each segment is resolved in the same manner until the end of segment 5. At that point, all unexecuted actions are canceled and the turn ends. Each player removes half, rounded up, of the delay points incurred on their sheet. All result cards are returned to the result deck, which is reshuffled anytime a player makes the request. The showdown ends when the players have completed the specified number of turns. The victory schedule is consulted, and the player with the most points wins. And that is how you play Gunslinger. Future videos on Gunslinger will focus on the standard and optional rules of the game. Thank you for watching. Check out our other videos on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. Plus, you can keep up with the latest news by visiting our Facebook and Twitter pages. And if you want to support the channel, we have a link to our Patreon page below. And I will see you next Wednesday.